Are we ready?
No. Go
Okay,
ahead.
no,
We
I
haven't
was just
started
gonna
yet,
say
no.
because we could talk about some of this stuff on here, but
We definitely can, yeah.
just from where we were in 2012 to where we are now, as far as like what we've done, what we've seen after post editing, after all of that stuff, makeup, all of that shit. This part two is gonna be way better, dude. You know, there was a lot of things that now as beginner filmmakers, Billy had, and I had helped him with some like shorts and stuff, but nothing to the size of what Circus was. And we were just kind of flying by the seat of our pants. We didn't know what the fuck, you know. It was just like, this might work, might not,
Right.
you know. And we were working with, we had a decent budget, but still, that's not, dude. Limited resources, limited time. Everybody had jobs, like not sleeping, just for, you know, filming every day from 9 to like 3 or 4 in the morning. It
Yep.
was crazy, dude.
That's what we were talking about.
And then
since-
going to work at the barbershop still after, trying to make money so that I could. Nobody was getting paid. I didn't get paid. It's just
Right.
the way it was. We're friends and we helped them out. It was being a part of something cool. So yeah, man. Yeah, we could definitely touch on some of that cool shit. 'Cause
Absolutely.
there's a lot of things that I learned on there that are really cool. And then just I was all about it. I don't know about Billy. I was just helping. I was like, man, whatever you want me to do, gaffer, tape, whatever, dude. It was like touch up, makeup, shit like that. Music, the putting together the soundtrack for that, reaching out to artists, getting them to donate, you know, free. Because I think we paid one band or two bands just because they were part of a label, or yeah, it was a label. We just needed the rights for like
Yeah.
the Pinata music or the Hickoids, you know, their music. And now I've got ideas on music for part two
There you go.
that's gonna be cool, man. Yeah, I haven't put the word out, and from what Billy says, we might be able to pay musicians
Well, there you go.
versus trying to say, hey man, we'll give you a free DVD, you know, once it's done. But yeah, it'd be cool. It's gonna be real cool.
Let's get started before we get through all the good stuff.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm like trying to save it. Am I saving it?
Right.
But we can talk about it. It's fine.
Hey everybody, welcome to BamBamORama. My name is Jackson Grist,
My name is Adrian Estrada.
and today we have Esau Ramirez from, I got to get this right because I screw every name up, G Street Barbershop, right?
Correct. G Street Barbershop. Yes.
I know for a while it was Buena Suerte, and I keep calling it Buena Suerte. I won't even lie.
So it was Buena Suerte for about 5 years, and then it's just time to kind of mix things up, get back in there, and we changed it to G Street. Originally, the house that we're in is on the corner of Wall and G, so it makes it easier just to say G Street. Yeah, that's where we're at.
That's why everyone knows where to go.
Little red house
Get
in the
their
corner
haircut.
of G. Mm-hmm.
There you go. So Esau, you're a barber by trade.
Yep.
What got you into barbering? Is that the right way to say that?
Oh yeah.
Barbering?
Yeah. So man, my mom as a kid, she always cut my hair, right? Barbering came to me later on in my 20s. I've always been into cars. I wanted a pompadour. I wanted that cool haircut, you know, and nobody could do it around here. It wasn't a cool thing. It wasn't in style. The businessman cut, the side part in the early 2000s wasn't a thing. Yeah, it just, you know, nobody had that. It didn't get as popular yet. Nobody was doing it, and I had buddies that wanted the same stuff, and I started just cutting their hair in the kitchen and learning how to do it. I learned out of an old Hot Rod magazine that had these comics, and it had this comic of this kind of an explanation drawn out of how to cut a pompadour. Just reading that and watching, you know, whatever videos and magazines I could find at that time, because there wasn't a whole lot, is what got me in there, man. And I didn't actually go to school to cut hair till about 2005.
Okay.
And back then here in Midland there wasn't a barber school, so all you could do is go to beautician school,
There was the
cosmetology school.
beautician school at,
Yeah,
at Midland College.
Yeah,
I believe.
exactly. So that's what I did. That was, you know, the best thing I could do. And while I did that, of course, I was working at a tattoo shop, which even back then, it's always been hot rod culture. It's always been, especially the other tattooers around the country, of course, are all big pompadour guys with drawing the hot rods and the pinup chicks and all that stuff.
Oh yeah.
So that was like kind of is still my style, and that's kind of what got me in it. Nobody was doing it, and I really liked it, and it was just that cool greaser that I liked, and the music, and yeah, I went to school then, and while I was in school, like I said, I was working at the tattoo shop.
What did you do
Larry's
at
tattoo
the?
shop.
Oh, Crazy Larry's. What'd you do there?
Man, I did the grunt stuff. I scrubbed tubes. I sold tattoos. I set up, broke down the tattooers, cleaned the shop. Just
Okay.
the counter help. Yeah.
I got.
Pierced. I pierced. I did piercings
You did
for a
some
long
piercings.
time. Yeah.
I will say, I admit, I started getting tattooed late. I really wish I would have gotten some ink done by Crazy Larry before he took off.
Before he
He's
left.
retired now, right? Is he
Oh
done?
man, I really don't know. I know he's in the Houston area, somewhere over
Yeah.
there. I think he does tattoo. We have a few people in common that I kind of, hear about from, but
If I remember correctly, when he left the area, it was with the intent to retire. But
yeah,
I don't
it
know.
was
Everyone
just,
seems to not really retire these days. They
no, dude.
take a year off and come back at least part time or something.
It was to like live on a boat.
Yeah, I think that's
is
what it was.
Live on a boat, tattoo, and just get away from the area. I think that's everybody's. Midland, Odessa, Permian. But we all live here, right? But everybody has this like, I can't just wait to get out of here. I can't wait to get out of here.
I'll be honest, I'm guilty of that.
We all do it.
I've left 3 times.
That's what I'm saying. We all do it, and then for some reason, it has a way of just sucking you back here.
Yeah, this is the black hole of society.
It is, dude.
Everyone,
And I don't mean that in a negative
No,
context.
exactly.
It just
Yeah,
means
yeah.
that it draws you
It
back.
just draws you
somehow.
back. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, so I worked there with him, and I finished learning to pierce with him. I took over that job for a long time while I was in school to cut hair. It was the only thing that I could do as far as like a night job. I went to school all day, and I needed money, of course. So I never did retail. I did for Up Rock for Sunny, but that wasn't like your mall job or anything. It was just sold, smoking accessories and things like that. But I needed a job, and I knew that I could do that job. I could do counter, and I got to meet some really cool dudes there, man. I've talked about this before and others, but working with Lewis, and Calvin and Jake and even Larry at that time, we were really close friends. And then Cran, hanging out with him, really seeing him grow from being a kid to a tattooer, that was cool. For a while, I was like, I finished school, but I'm not gonna cut hair. I'm gonna be in this world because I really love that
Yeah.
world. That world grew up in that world. It was really cool. There's a lot to see. You learn really quick how to grow up and how to be cool. How to meet people, and that's one thing you do is you
Right.
meet a lot of people there.
absolutely.
And one thing that's cool about like a tattoo shop is that most people come to a tattoo shop and they it can be intimidating.
Yeah,
Because the people
definitely.
that work there are tough dudes, or they look tough, or And I remember seeing people from just younger 18-year-old kids to bankers to gnarly biker dudes, but everybody comes in with that same attitude, like they need what you got. So
Yeah.
nobody comes in there too tough. Nobody comes in there, everybody's just kind of like, I kind of want this, I kind of want this tattoo. And so you get to meet these people that are from different walks of life that normally in regular street, you probably wouldn't talk to.
Right.
You wouldn't, even like the biker dudes, you wouldn't just talk to them because some of them are pretty rough and they
Yeah.
wouldn't be cool if you talked to them outside of that shop. But since it's in the shop, you got what they want. They tend to be pretty cool. And I learned how to talk to people pretty early on how to communicate, how to carry myself. And that was pretty cool. I did learn a lot of that stuff in the tattoo shop. I was like, man, I'm not going to cut hair. I'm just going to do this. And then we left the tattoo shop and opened up Blue Collar. And Blue Collar was big enough that I had space in the back where I could set up a chair. And I was doing haircuts. I was still cutting my buddy's hair. I was, the full-time barbering was kind of on a back burner because I was, helping run a shop and learning to tattoo and painting and doing all that fun stuff, all the cool stuff. And it kind of just took a back seat until I had to grow up. And that world is great. But I always say and I know that there's tattooers that make it a family life, but it's a pirate's life. It is. It's that late night job, you don't go to work till 1, you work till midnight or whenever you want. It's not the super professional job that you clock in and out.
Right. It's not an 8 to 5. It's more of like a
Right.
3 to midnight type thing.
It's
Yeah.
just till whenever you're done,
Yeah.
There's no, of course, drug testing. There's none of that stuff. So,
Right.
it's more of a pirate's life. And I had things that were going on in my life where I needed to be serious if they were going to work. So I had to make a decision, and barbering came back into my life. I just jumped straight in, and then I realized that I thought I knew what I was doing, and then I didn't. all of a sudden I'm like, man, I don't know what I'm doing, and I suck at these haircuts that these people want. It took a while. It took about a good year and a half, 2 years to where I was like comfortable behind the chair. Every haircut was nervousness. Every haircut was like, like, what am I doing? Am I going to do this right? And then halfway through the haircut, you're shaking because it's not looking like you want it to.
And that's, I wonder if some of it comes from, I know I would be terrified, other than giving someone a buzz cut.
Oh, yeah.
I would be terrified to give someone a haircut because I know what it feels like to walk out of a barbershop or, hair salon with a bad haircut or a haircut that doesn't fit me.
Right.
So I would be terrified to screw up someone's hair and they walk out feeling terrible because they look terrible.
Yeah.
And I mean, is that where some of that came from?
Oh yeah, man. Oh, big time. There's that feeling, and you've probably been there. Like if you're in front of a big audience and you're talking, and then all of a sudden the room gets really small, and it's like really, really quiet, and then it gets really hot, and you start kind of sweating. You're just like, oh, that is the same feeling you get whenever the haircut that you're doing doesn't go the way you want.
Yeah.
It's that same, and then you're like, oh man, I gotta show this guy, because normally they're not facing the mirror, so you got to take that mirror and you got to put it in front of their faces, and then look at them and try to read what they're doing, if they like it or not. Yeah, it gets to the point to where I don't feel that anymore. It's just
You've gotten comfortable, and you're very good at what you do now.
Well, thank you. But I've been doing it for full time now, man, since 2010. So going on 14 years, and yeah, now it's just muscle memory.
Right.
I don't even. It just kind of happens. The customer tells me, or we talk about what they want. And
now, I have a question about that because I spent a little bit of time on the social media, so Instagram and TikTok. I do come across the barber side of those things, and I see him talk about lately when people come in and they're like, I want this haircut, and that's not going to look good on them. I think one of them, the ones that was brought up was when Pinky Blinders was popular, which that was a terrible haircut to have. I feel like it just worked for that one character, but people loved the character and wanted that haircut. Do you ever have to tell a customer, nah, dude? Or do you ever feel like it's your place? Or?
Yeah, no, you can always suggest, you know what I mean? And it's not necessarily that the haircut's not going to look good on them. It's just that their hair's not going to do what they want.
That's true, too.
I can manipulate hair with heat, with product. I can make it do what I want it to do. But can the customer recreate that at the house?
That's a question too, yeah.
You know what I mean? What's your daily routine? These are things that we all do in like consultation. It's like when you really sit down and talk, like, all right, man, what's your idea? What do you think? Show you a picture, and pictures are the best. People are always worried about like, if I show them a picture, it's just kind of weird. No, but pictures make me not have to guess.
Now, I get nervous about that, like, because you almost feel nerdy. When you're like, hey, man, I want this. But I know. It makes sense.
And see, that's one thing that I try to work on and is making everyone comfortable enough to where they don't feel nerdy. To where it's like, hey, we're doing this together.
Yeah.
I mean, I need your input to get what you want. So and I'm not too pretentious to where like, oh, you're going to show me a picture of what you want? Nah, man. I don't care, dude. If a picture actually helps me because it keeps me from guessing.
Right.
Like, this is what you want. Your hair's curly. This is straight. Let's talk about that. Or you're thin up here. This guy's got super full hair. Let's talk about that. We can do something similar to it. And you break it down. Like you get to a point where you can break it down. Like, what about this haircut do you like? Which part of this is like what really draws your attention? And let's focus on that and then work around that and build off of that. Just with like the years that I've been doing that, you get to this comfort area where you can just kind of zone in on people's like ideas and say, okay, you like this, you like that. Let's look at your hair, turn them around to the mirror and say, your hair right here is not doing this. It's not going to be the same as this one, but we can do something similar. You get to that point where it gets pretty comfortable. And then also I think when you're first starting, it's easy just the customer tells you what they want and you're like, okay, I think I can do it. But you don't ever suggest anything different because you just want to please what the customer wants.
Right.
And they are paying customers. But one thing that a lot of barbers and that need to understand is that we can always suggest like, hey, man, your hair's not going to do this. But that person lives with that hair. Mm-hmm. So they know what their hair does. They've had it their whole life. So me trying to direct where they want to go with their haircut just by pointing out different little things that I don't think is going to do, it's not the same, because the customer could say, hey man, this person cut it last and it worked. And I'm like, okay, cool. But sometimes barbers will do that because they just don't want to do that haircut.
I get that.
Yeah.
I get that.
It's easier just to say, no, it's not going to look good versus, I don't want to do this haircut. That happens quite a bit, but I do, like I said, bring pictures. Yeah, multiple if you want. And then, let the barber kind of tell you what's going to happen or how to. And your barber, if your barber doesn't make you feel comfortable, you're going to the wrong barber. And it's probably not for you. It's time for you to make a move.
Yeah.
It's just simple like that. Find where you fit and you'll be good.
Sorry, I kind of dominated this. You got anything, Adrian?
Oh, go ahead.
I love the designs that y'all. When I say designs, so like the shops that you've created.
Oh, right on.
What's kind of the inspiration behind that?
Tattoo shops.
Tattoo shops.
Yeah, man. Since I was a part of that world for so long at a young age, that's the kind of the stuff that I've always been drawn to. The cool traditional style artwork. I've always liked the old timey for some reason. Everything old timey, cars, and this place just lends itself. The new shop, G Street, lends itself to that just because it's an old house. It just kind of becomes what it does, and like being around guys like Calvin. Calvin was a collector of things.
Yeah,
that dude had all kinds of things, and they were some really interesting things. They had like I don't know. At one point, I don't know how real this is, but I believed it. He had a human skull, and
Really?
that was the first time I'd ever seen anything like that.
That's crazy.
And he had like a cool, like Mason style hat and things like that, that he would just keep and put in little places. And I was always inspired by that. I always dug that, old car parts that it just look cool, shiny, chromy, like pitted, and just has, they just have like character, things with character. I prefer something with character versus having something that's pretty and shiny and you can't even touch because it's too nice. I like things that look like they've been like messed with and dropped, and so that's always like been what I like and inspirational to my places, and feels good, feels homey. Like you walk into it, and it doesn't feel like a I don't like cookie cutter barbershop that has red and black furniture with
almost like a waiting room at a dentist.
Yeah,
right?
You want that just kind of relaxed, paneling on the wall, kind of grandma's old trailer house or something.
Yeah.
It's just like looks cool, has a smell to it.
I agree.
It's just if you could paint that picture, then I feel like people dig it, and then using like church pews for waiting area, things like that you can just find for cheap. And that might be a thing too, is like most of that stuff is secondhand, and when I come across it, I'm not an antique buyer. I just like old things. And it's also because a lot of these old things can be kind of cheap, and you can put them together, and it just works.
That's right. We keep talking about things we want to do to our set.
Yeah.
We might need to get Esau to.
So you've already got. I think you've got most things. I think you just need to place them in places. You just gotta find, and we'll talk about that on Circus. That was a big thing too. Was propping, taking things, distressing them, finding old things, putting them in places to make them look cool on camera.
Yeah,
that
we've done a few little things. We try to get some stuff moved, but part of it's it's not just feng shui; it's also functionality.
Oh, for sure, no doubt.
Yeah,
because
this also doubles as, even though it's our podcast studio, it's our unscripted stuff studio. This is also, I give guitar lessons.
Oh, right on.
That amp is functional. That amp, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
everything works too. So it's also
and that's like with our barber chairs. Like I use old barber chairs. I've always used old barber chairs. They work. They look cool. They feel comfortable. They have souls. They've done a million haircuts.
I agree.
You know what I mean?
On that note, I'm sorry, you were.
It's all right. Go ahead.
My dad acquired an old barber chair a long ass time ago.
Nice.
And when he decided he didn't have room for it, I said, "Well, I want that."
You got it.
on my back porch. It's actually we're filming a trailer for the Texas Frightmare weekend, and we're using it for the trailer. So it's sitting in my sunroom. That's all
cool. I have to check it out.
Yeah, you check it out after this.
Yeah,
so you guys are doing something for Texas Frightmare?
Yes, sir.
Nice. A short.
Yes. Yeah, the fake trailer.
Yeah. Fake trailer contest. I've done one of those.
Nice.
You did?
Well, I'm sure
Have to
Billy
see
talked
yours.
about it.
Oh, did you help him with the
Yeah.
Mr. Fisher one?
With the Mr. Fisher.
At Fabian's house?
Yes.
Yeah.
So that white van.
Yeah.
That was my own van.
Cool.
Yeah. And then that kid with the that says, "Hey, Mister, that's my toy." That's my nephew Guyan. Which now he's 19.
Damn.
Yeah, dude. So yeah, that was fun. That was fun, and then going and seeing it at Texas Frightmare was cool, man. It's been years since then, but yeah, that's cool. That's awesome that you guys are doing that.
Yeah, hopefully we get featured on the little
Yeah,
panel there, but
that'd be
if
cool.
not, it'll be cool either way.
Yeah.
Right. We'll actually all be spread out through Texas that weekend. You're going to be in Waco, I believe.
Okay, yeah, that's Waco.
I'm
Yes.
going to be at a Spartan race, and he's going to be representing us with that.
You're not making it.
I know. I'm not. Well,
What the heck,
I already bought my tickets, and then we decided we were going to do this, and I was like, you got it, man.
But there's gonna be a Spartan race next year.
That's true.
Are you gonna make another trailer next year?
I think so. I think we
Cool.
will.
Okay, cool, man. Yeah, man, badass. That's awesome.
Don't worry. I'll still talk in front of those people. It's just-
You're still making-
I can talk, I promise.
I was just making sure.
No, we're very excited. We've been toying with fake blood, which I got to get yet another thing of red dye.
Bro,
To
I might have
fix
the
that.
recipe for you. We have a
I'll
really
I'll
good
show
blood
you.
recipe.
Yeah, I don't want to necessarily go
No, I
back
know,
and
me
forth
neither.
on camera, but
Yeah,
yeah,
I know.
yeah. I'll definitely listen.
Yeah, for sure.
Always,
Yeah.
always open to it because you can
We'll
learn.
talk about it off, yeah, for sure.
It's actual blood. Just kidding.
It might be what we have, but we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Okay,
We'll
yeah,
get
we'll
that.
talk about it. That's awesome.
But yeah, when we got a fake finger that we made for another thing, we were going to do a short called The Finger. That was a competition, and everyone had the same script, and you just make your
Yeah.
version.
It was
Okay.
a really cool one. An indie filmmaker made about a 7-8 minute
Yeah, it was 6-page,
short,
7-page.
and he made the short, but then he was also like, I want to see what everyone else comes up with.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we tried to do that. We ran out of time before the deadline. I think we also, honestly, we found out about the thing and decided we were going to do it too
Way
close
late,
to the
yeah.
deadline.
Oh, I got you.
And so
But we made the finger.
but we did make,
you
we
have the
made some of the
finger.
props, yeah.
Nice.
So I'm excited to show someone like you that's played with that stuff.
Yeah,
we,
bro.
I, for some reason, we've had him here twice now. I haven't shown Billy any of this.
Oh, I got you.
We're real something shiny type people. You know?
Yes.
Oh, what's that?
Yes. Oh, no, I know. I'm the same way. I can go off on something that just catches my eye for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
But that being said, we jokingly mentioned before we started this that you're kind of the Kevin Bacon of West Texas. A lot of people know who you are in various ways too. It's not just, oh, I get my hair cut from him,
Right.
or oh, I've done this. So
Yeah.
talk to us a little bit more about your experience with film sets, etc.
So, let's see. I'm trying to think which one was before Circus. I want to say we did Mr. Fister, and that was kind of all over. We bounced around different locations, set up different things. So going back to Billy, I've known Billy for a long time. My brother and Billy worked together back at CBS 7. Or Blue Dog is where I think Billy was, and Gabe worked for CBS 7. So I met Billy early on, and Billy, of course, is a great musician. The dude can really play guitar. He's always had bands, and he's a funny dude, so it's always been spoof stuff. And I was of course younger, and I had time, and working at for a little bit I did do CBS 7 just for a few weeks. I worked there helping with the graphic stuff. Billy's that same way when it comes to things like little trinkets, and he has a lot of things that we use to prop and set up and do, and ideas and visions that I can kind of see here and there. I worked at the haunted house for a long time, so that's always been one of our sets too. It's like the haunted house there in Odessa, DEF CON. We could always film there, and of course friends, people's houses, where we set up at Fabian's, you said, to film some stuff there. With Billy, and I understand this, is like he puts people into roles that they fit as themselves, not like an actor that plays a character. So it's the same with, like, if he walked in here, and I'm sure he's already done that, he'd be like, oh cool, I could film here, I could film this here, I could film that here, because that's just the way Billy's mind works. Creating sets that match what's in his head, helping our other friend Lee, because Lee has that same idea, those same visions. I don't know if Billy's talked to you guys about Lee. And then the camera thing, of course, my brother being a photographer, videographer, being around him, and just helping switch lenses and lighting, and I've been around all that stuff, and then also now playing. So I was a clown for a long time at the maze. I was the guy up at the front that would scream at you and tell you the rules, and I did that for a long time. That's a character that I have. His name is Skeeter. He's a clown. He's in the movie. He's in Circus 1, but he's in the background on a small screen TV. Right. That's where he's playing. And we filmed this it was first time I'd ever been on camera. I'm in a clown costume, and we're filming this like Mexican talk show. And there's this old man telling this host that I ate his family. And I'm dressed up as a clown. And I'm just joking around and laughing and playing with the old man in Spanish. So we're just going back and forth, and it was really cool. We shot it at CBS 7 in one of their studios. I have this flower, and the old man says something, and I squeeze the water, and it just sprays the old man in the face, and he hits me with his cane. It's just like a background funny little thing. After that, of course, getting involved with the movie more, doing all the propping, and then I helped. I'm not saying me. I helped Roy, which is Roy Shuck. He's a carpenter. He's just the builder. He's the builder that is around us. Helping him build a soundstage inside of one of the buildings in Odessa was really cool. And then seeing it come together. Because we built the inside of the clown trailer inside of this big building. And it's just the soundstage. You know, it's just where we set up everything. Popcorn, the main clown, his area's there. Noodle Dome, his area's in there. Pepe the Clown, his mime, or Pepe the Mime, his chainsaw little areas inside of there. Okay. Everything's inside of this little place that we built, which is really cool. So distressing things, painting things, making things look old, decorating, putting things where they belong, you know, making small teeth, you know, out of clay and putting them in jars and, you know, that kind of stuff. It's, you get to do all that fun stuff when you're on a movie scene or on a movie set. The filming part is kind of boring because there's a lot of like, okay, everybody be quiet, you know, or the light would come on and everybody, okay, be quiet. And then that's when you would see cool stuff happen, or you would see regular people shut down. As soon as the camera would be put on people that weren't actors, all of a sudden they're just like, what was my line? They don't remember what their lines were. They forgot how to be themselves. It's a trip. But then you also see guys like Bill Oberst, which is Popcorn. Yeah. Being around that dude was wild, dude. His acting is just like, he turns it on. Sitting in the chair, he'd get in my chair, and he was Bill, very nice, soft-spoken man. And as I was putting on his makeup, he would turn into Popcorn. And when he was in makeup, he's always Popcorn. Okay. Popcorn is a really like kind of interesting character, can be really kind of rude and gross and scary but Bill's the complete opposite. And so seeing that was really cool. Being able to do that on you know, there, and then in between touch up makeups and do things like that. That was a lot of fun. A lot of work, but a lot of fun. Yeah, that was cool. And now hopefully my clown will have a whole lot more in Circus 2. All right, Billy. Hopefully I get to be on camera a little bit more.
We're looking forward to that. As we talked about right before we started, you know, we've been invited to be the documentarians for
That's awesome.
Circus 2, and we're really excited.
Yeah, well, talking about the things you're talking about, I'm excited to learn off of y'all. Oh, you know, a lot. You know, I'm gonna be hard pressed to if I have to be on camera for one of the times we're there. Yeah. It's gonna be very difficult for me not to just start watching and try to hover over you guys.
I have a feeling Billy's gonna shove us in the middle of a set at some point.
For sure. Like, I think that they're definitely and you'll once you're there for a little bit, you'll kind of start like thinking ahead of time. All right, cool. The camera's there. I need to be here. Shadows, this and this and that. One thing that does happen on sets is that tempers flare some here and there, but for the most part, it is a family style stuff, man. And you'll see Billy storm off and punch a wall or something because something's wrong, or and then it'll be fine. He'll come back and he'll apologize and he'll be like, "All right, cool, let's keep going," and we'll keep going. And there's times that somebody's in the shot or a microphone or whatever, and it's just like, all right, well, let's do that again. And it being 4 o'clock in the morning and everybody's just wore out and tired, everybody's just grumpy and upset, but for the most part, they'll kind of direct you like, hey, man, could you stand over here, see if you can get this, or I can kind of catch a shadow here, try to. Yeah. But you get to that point from being there that you kind of start learning where to hide and where to get a pretty cool little shot. There was one video of Popcorn that I took with my phone, and I was just kind of hiding in this little closet background, kind of trying to stay out of the way. But you can do things like that on a movie set. It's really cool. As long as you don't mess up the shot. Yeah. Really cool. But yeah, you guys will like it. It's going to be fun.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
So can you tell us a little bit more about anything else you've done? We know you've done barber. Mm-hmm. You've done the tattoo shops, done film. Mm-hmm. You've dabbled in music yourself?
Man, so I do not play an instrument.
Sure.
I'm not musically inclined, but I've always been around music. Like I said, I was telling you earlier, my brother being in bands here locally early when he still lived here. I was a kid at, 17, 18, roadie, walking into the bar holding a guitar amp, and I was already taller, so I would get in and I could hang out. I remember there was so many times when people thought that I was actually in the band. Sitting in the urinal talking to somebody or not talking, but somebody talking to you and saying, "Hey man, where's y'all's next show?" And I'd be like, I knew when the next show was because I was part of the band in the background sense. So I'd be like, "Oh yeah, we're playing at Daddy's place next week, or we're playing at Dos Amigos next week." Or I've always been around the music scene. I've never. I think I say this now, but if I had the discipline to put time towards something, I could probably learn how. Just like I've learned how to cut hair.
Right.
It just takes practice and reps and doing it over and over again for so long, for so many hours a day. But I've always been part of the local music scene in that sense, to where with the Pine Box, those kids, I always dug that these kids were doing this. They were putting their money together to rent a spot that had a jam space, place to store their instruments, and then they would pay touring bands to come through as a collective. That idea, I had never seen that before, and that was really cool to me. I know at one point I had a small a small PA. Somebody had sold a PA, and I was working at the tattoo shop or at Blue Collar at that point. But I had already started bringing bands. I had already started bringing the rockabilly bands, the psychobilly bands, because that's the music that I like. That's the music that I wanted to hear. And I knew that there was other people around the area that kind of dug it. So I started doing that. Well, I had bought a small PA, and I think some stuff was not working real well at the Pine Box, and I lent my PA to the Pine Box with the, hey man, there's gonna be some times when I'm gonna hit you up about putting on a show that I'll cover and I'll do all of that. I just need a place. So yeah, for years they used a couple of my big JBL speakers.
Nice.
And like some powered amps and things like that, and just because I had it and it was sitting in my garage, and I was like, hey, just use it. And so there, I guess I got to meet a lot of the younger kids then that were doing the music thing around here, and got exposed to a lot more of that music, and pop punk was a thing, and or a bigger thing, and at that point, and I got to listen to some cool stuff, and I also got to do shows. I brought some really cool bands, and I got hooked up with this band called Pinata Protest through the singer for the Hickoids, who has a label in Austin. And it was a trip. My lady at the time was doing roller derby then, because that happened here too.
Yeah.
And we were in Austin for a big roller derby thing, and there was a band called the Gay Sportscasters that was playing.
Nice.
And so that was Jeff Smith's other band, and he was a singer for that band. And I was sitting outside, and Jeff walks out. And I had known about the Hickoids, and I knew that they had played Odessa years ago.
Yeah.
Like in the 80s, I want to say, maybe even late 70s, 80s.
Oh, wow.
Cowpunk band. And I knew that they had played there, and I knew who he was through Cran, because Cran exposed me to a bunch of music. I saw the dude, and I was like, hey man, that was a good set. Just talked to him, he was smoking a cigarette. And we started talking. He's like, where are you from? We started talking, and I was like, I'm from over here, and I'll promote shows here and there. And he's like, oh really? He's like, you got to listen to this one band. They're a Tejano punk band. At the time, I was like, what? That didn't sound, what? Like, really? Tejano punk? And he's like, yeah. He's like, send me your email. I'll send you some of their music. He did. And then I ended up booking them. I booked them here, and they were just, I don't know how long they had been together then, but they were already kind of touring a little bit. And they came and played at the Pine Box. Everybody loved it. So then I started bringing them more. And one of the coolest shows that I put on was Pinata, this band called Viva Las Vegas from Juarez, this band called Los Reyes Negros, which is, they were kind of instrumental surf. In between them, I had this local DJ guy named DJ Tony, which DJ Tony is a really good DJ. Plays, of course, Mexican music, cumbias, that kind of thing. So we had DJ Tony playing in between bands. It was a trip. The kids were all loving it. All the kids at the Pine Box in there dancing cumbias in between bands. It was really cool to see. A really fun show. Yeah, man. So I got into that, and I think that's where the Kevin Bacon thing happened. It's like being around like these kind of highlight points of the town and doing these things, like working in a tattoo shop, of course, doing piercings. Everybody wanted their lip. There's still people walking around with piercings that I've done.
Yeah.
You know, and now they're grown ups. You know, so that also, I think gets me close to everybody in one way or another. But and of course the barbering and then the music thing, and I think that's why. And then it's still fairly small here. You know what I mean?
It's funny you say the Kevin Bacon thing. Even during that little story you just told us, he brought up. What did you bring up that I nodded about the roller derby?
Oh,
we used to
yeah.
know the coach of that roller derby team
Yeah,
up
yeah.
at. I always wanted to go to the roller derby show too. Or
I met one of the. I worked for a CBD shop briefly in Austin before moving back, but I met one of their founders, and she would always invite me to go to that roller derby. I need to go to that. So,
Oh yeah, yeah. Those are big.
Yeah.
I don't know if they still happen, but
I mean, at least about a year
oh
ago.
yeah, cool. Okay,
Yeah,
good.
so I'm hoping that they're surviving until now.
That'd be awesome. Well, and then people age out, you know. So it's
Yeah.
like after you. I think about it this way. I'm like, what are those kids that were doing the Pine Box or the Red Scare or those places? What are they doing now, and who's taking over that?
Yeah.
that's kind of the big question we had too, because we had Brian on here
Yeah.
a while back who
Yeah.
was doing the Cactus House. He's moving to another part of Texas, and
Yeah.
often we've talked about who's going to be the next DIY.
Right. Well,
Venue
and then
here.
there is young bands. I think there's a band called Blood and Paint that's out right now, and they're doing like real thrashy stuff, and they're young.
Yeah.
So there are some dudes, there are some kids. I don't know what clicks to say. We need to do our own thing for them. Do they need somebody to kind of say, "Hey, bro, you should probably do this"?
I'll be
I
honest.
think that they need a venue that's more appropriate for it. I mean, when I don't drink anymore,
Right.
but even in returning and seeing what's out there, none of this is band appropriate.
No.
Even the ones that have big ass stages are not band appropriate.
Oh, you're right. There, the places that we do have that we miss so much now, like the Blue Max. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That was a big hit, and I don't think that anybody understood what happened when it closed till we do now.
Sure.
Now thinking back, it's like, dude, I miss that place, especially because of the amount of music that was coming through the place. And now, like living here, seeing what's coming through Lubbock. Lubbock has a fairly good music scene that comes through. It's like, why not here?
Right. And that's one of the reasons why we're doing the music festival.
Oh, yeah,
This
that's
airs
good.
after the music festival, but we were like, there's not many places for original music to play. If bands are getting booked in Midland, they are either top 40 cover bands of whatever genre,
Right.
or there's someone who's already made it big being invited to the Wagner Noel.
Oh, for sure.
so-
Yeah. Which,
I mean,
Yeah, it's Midland, Odessa in a nutshell does not work for local.
No.
And it's ironic because as red as this area is, I'll say everyone's so local business, there's a lot less focus on local business than there should be.
I think the issue is, and sorry to get
Go for
into it, they do support local businesses, but they support the local businesses that have been here since the 80s. If you're a new business, you're going to have a hard time earning your spot.
I just think
feel
that there's also a big difference between social classes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where the money is not into the music that
You're right.
we're into, right? They're into the music that goes to the Wagner. They're into the music that plays those shows like that.
You're
While
absolutely right.
we're still DIY. You know what I mean? We still have that punk rock mentality.
Yeah.
And I think that might be a big thing too. It's like, is it going to take one of us older to provide that again? Like Erica was for a long time. You know what I mean? Because nobody filled those shoes. Nobody stepped in to open that back up. Yeah, you've got bars like what you guys are going to use like for the festival, but there's nobody there doing that.
You're probably spot on that it will take one of the older tops to do it because, I mean, we'll just take comedy for example. Joe Rogan and
for
the
sure.
Austin comedy explosion because of Ron White and all of that. It's because Ron White came. And then the old guy brought the older guys, the Joe Rogans and the Tom Segura's, et cetera. And it was that. And they encouraged the younger people to start doing what they...
And it's crazy what they're doing over there. It's awesome.
It's huge.
Yeah, man. It's great.
huge.
That's the thing. Is like who's gonna do it? Or is it gonna take a collective again?
Sure.
It might take a collective. And I mean, I don't know, I might be crazy right now. I'm almost willing to say, let's do it. Me and you, Esau.
Well, let's talk about it. I'm always open, man. I'm cool.
Yeah.
I'm always down to do stuff that's fun like that. You know what I mean? That I think would really help the area for us, because we need some we need stuff like that.
Because you and I really do care about that music. I know Austin, or who are you? Adrian. I almost called you Austin. Adrian does too. What?
Hey, but he does that to everybody though.
I fuck
He
up
does that to
everyone's
bands.
names.
No. So let's do that. Me and you, Esau.
I don't mean that.
Fuck this guy sitting right here. What's your name?
What's your name again?
Do you want to talk today too, Adrian? No, that's fine.
Yeah. No, I think so, man. I think that for sure the conversation needs to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, people are moving, like we said, Brian, and a lot of the other musicians are still around, whether they're playing or not. I think that taking it on and really saying, hey, what are we going to do? How do we do this? Where? Or what can we do, to really grow this? If it's a thing, yeah, don't get me wrong. You were talking about merit in business,
Right.
that kind of thing. We're still all in the business of surviving, making money, you know what I mean, and doing that kind of thing. If it makes money, it makes sense. You've heard that before. But also, yes, providing an awesome, place that to bring those young kids back out and to have them play in.
Well, then, and the opportunity for all, right? I mean, you
Yeah,
brought
for
up
sure.
the mixed, Tejano thing that you had that night.
Yeah.
Those opportunities, not just
Right.
one tunnel vision of style and stuff.
Yeah, for sure. And that there is still resources for us. Like, I've reached out to Erica because I'm doing shows. I'll do shows here and there for the barbershop or from the car club that I'm a part of. There is some, I'm not saying that I have a venue where I can play or I can bring, hardcore bands too. I don't. They allow what I bring because it's not even trendy, but it's entertaining because there's a guy playing a big bass, that makes it entertaining. And that's like, okay, well, it's kind of like country, but not. So they allow me to play that music at their bars. Now, could I do that with, if I was to bring the Hickoids back? No. Could I do that if I was bringing something that's just harder, that's more genre specific, like a hardcore band or a thrash band or a punk band?
Yeah.
No, I don't think I have a venue. I know that there's a few places that are doing it, but whether or not it's almost like we're just borrowing spaces. There's not like hey, if you want to go listen to some good music, go here. I always feel this way, and I don't know where it came from, or where I learned it from, but I don't know everything. But if I don't know it, I know somebody that might. And if they don't, they know somebody that might. That's that Kevin Bacon separation thing.
Yep.
As long as there's somebody in your circle that might know, they might know somebody else that would, So using your resources and doing that kind of thing is always really good, man. I think that's one way that you could really grow and maybe even make this music thing happen around here. I'm not saying it's not happening. I'm just saying that making it better.
Right. There's that's the thing too, is it's not to discredit anybody that's
Exactly.
doing a lot
Right,
of good
right,
footwork out there.
Yes, for sure.
Everybody is.
Yes.
We all know it.
Exactly.
But when you don't have anything to aim for, it's a little
Right.
bit more difficult.
For sure. I think that, I think we could, I think that things could happen. And I don't know if we should say I think we could or we are going to.
We're going right. I don't know. I mean, it's like you said, the conversation should happen.
For sure.
I think
Yeah,
that's.
man, it should be.
And if the conversation, if it doesn't go past the conversation, that's fine. Like
Right.
we can accept that, but it should happen.
Yeah, no doubt.
So I think you could take that as our weasel for this one. I don't know if you've seen any of the episodes, but we normally weasel with people.
Okay.
Where we try to get them involved with our business or get involved in their business.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And I think that would be probably the what we can end that one on. I don't see a reason to try to bring anything else.
I was trying to leave the weasel open for you, but yeah, if you want to take that one.
There's no really.
Well, but this itself is what y'all are doing here is already something that's going to bring, it'll bring now it'll bring my friends over to y'all. It'll bring
Right.
my customers.
Part of that was originally, I mean, part of the start of this conversation, before we really got into it, we were on the river and we're like, what if we can get, where we're like interviewing people, and then all of the bands we've interviewed, we start putting their songs in like the mix of songs we can use.
For
and,
sure.
And all of it's always been a big, let's get a community.
Yeah, man. Yeah, for sure. That's great because once again, using your resources and then helping each other to promote each other, That's awesome.
Everybody wins, I think, in the end.
Well, so there's so much going on, man, and not that. Yeah, everybody wins in the
Yep.
But you guys are a part of this world, and you know how this works, right? Most places, there. I hate to do this. I don't want to do this, but there's these other podcasts that you pay to get on, and they advertise for you, and they label you as something. I want to be labeled by my people, by my customers as something, not by something that I paid for. You know what I mean? And I think that one thing that you guys are doing is that you're understanding that it could turn into a business really quick, right?
Yeah.
So, but it can also be fun and profitable without turning it into a business, right? And still having integrity and doing things because it's the right thing to do, or because, but it's just different, man. And those are some of the things that I've always tried to do, is like, do it because it's good, do it because it's right, you know, and you will be repaid, and things will come back to you, and you will grow, and you will be successful, but do it for the right thing, do it for the right reason.
So with that being said, do you have some socials you want to throw out at the people and make sure they can catch you?
The one that I use the most is my Instagram, G Street Barbershop at Instagram.com or whatever it is. Just find me at G Street Barbershop. That's the main one. We do have a Facebook also, and it's also under G Street. My personal is Esau, or you join Esau. At Instagram, you can follow me there too. Mainly, like I said, I post a bunch of dumb stuff and funny things and haircuts here and there.
Well, thank you so much. We're gonna try to get you back on at some point, because there's always so much more to talk about.
There is. I feel like we're not even done.
Yeah, not at all. I've got a lot of more questions and conversations.
Well, there's a bunch more movie stuff that we could talk about that's awesome, and
definitely.
And then looking forward whenever you guys are on set and doing some cool stuff there with us.
We might even do that. Maybe we'll get some podcast episodes recorded on set if Billy's cool with that.
Oh, for sure. I don't see why not. I know he's all about this, helping each other too.
Yeah, he's been enjoying hanging out.
Maybe you guys can get unalived while you're doing the podcast.
Dude,
that would be nice. So thank you guys for joining us. Don't forget to get in the comments and subscribe. And of course,
absolutely follow our socials: Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, which we sometimes use, or X, whatever you would call it. We also do Twitch streams currently Tuesday and Wednesday. Let us know what video games you want us to play too. We're always looking to change that.
Love you guys.
Love y'all.
Thanks, sir.
Yeah, man.